Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. You wanna go where people know people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
FightSaga.com presents Royal Week Radio Chats with boxing scribe Joseph Heron.
Guys, welcome. Happy Friday to everybody. Guys, I hope you guys are enjoying the first Friday of this Lenten period. Well, for us Christians and the Catholics and that sort of thing. And I tell you what, I'm already tired of fish. But I tell you what, we're not going to talk about that, guys. This is reason to celebrate if you're a boxing fan, because we have a great matchup that was just announced. After all the posturing, deliberation, all of the dispute, it's finally official, guys. And it was just announced today. Gervonta Davis announced through his Twitter account Friday day that he and Ryan Garcia will indeed fight on April 22nd. At a venue to be determined in Las Vegas. Now, obviously, this is something that has been belabored by both parties, right? PBC as well as Golden Boy Promotions, trying to iron out revisions to their contracts. But everything has been resolved, apparently. And guys, like it or not, and once again, this is kind of funny. Fans, and let's go to this, right? Let's go to this. O.T. Spears, he says, how did Ryan Garcia get this fight? He has nothing. He has done nothing in the sport of boxing. Okay, yet everyone is realizing, everyone within the business recognizes that this has the potential of being by far the most marketable, high-profile fight in 2023. And it's definitely the most marketable, high-profile fight on the boxing calendar so far, right? It's definitely not Paul versus Fury, which is happening this Sunday. And we're not going to talk very much about that, but I tell you what, it has become a very, very big event to most mainstream and casual audience members, right? Which is a great thing for the health of the sport. Want to give a shout out to my brother CB3. Salute to you, my friend. Salute to you, Sid UK. Thank you for joining us, sir, on this beautiful Friday evening. Salute to you, Chris. Tank said T-Mobile Arena. Well, we'll see. They're still ironing that out. Honestly, I hope that it's in the Allegiant Stadium. But if it's in the T-Mobile Arena, that's fine by me. It's in Vegas and it's happening, right? Salute to my brother John McSmith. Salute Joe, the real mouth of the South. Well, I tell you what. Yeah, I tell you what, I'm going to be very, very busy the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be calling 2 events here in South Texas. Also want to give a big shout out to my brother Joseph Brown. Says, salute, Joseph. You're the only channel I'll listen to about the breakdown. Too many breaking news frauds out there. Yes, absolutely. So thank you for joining us, Joseph. And my brother Juice, he says, salute, Mr. Aaron. Glad to be back to enjoy another great episode from More Week Radio Network. Thank you, sir, for always supporting the channel. And guys, might I add, I feel like I'm on a Jerry Lewis telethon now. We have 5 subscribers to go before we eclipse the 1,000 subscription mark. So Guys, if you can help us out, we'd like to get past the 1,000 mark, but it's going to come. It's no big deal. Sid UK says, Oscar Supplier going to be rich in the morning and busy tonight. I predict Oscar partying tonight. Do your thing, fishnets, as long as the fights keep coming. Viva la raza. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That's exactly how I feel, sir. And that's how most fans feel. Guys, and once again, I think it's pretty funny. And we're going to go into this in a little bit more depth later on in the program. That Steve Kim just put out an article that said boxing is broken. No shit, Sherlock. Anyone who's been listening to this program for the past 2 years understands exactly where we are. And we told you guys this was coming. And yeah, the house is indeed on fire. It has been for a while. But guess what, guys? We're still getting great fights. Obviously, the big fight that was just announced. And guys, we've got a great matchup this weekend in Minneapolis. Subriel Matias versus Eremias Ponce. It's going to be an amazing scrap, and it's for the vacant IBF 140-pound championship. And yes, we're going to do the tell the tape and go deep into that a little bit later. But guys, and once again, my brother Gogi is still in the gym. Coach Ronnie is in Minneapolis, braving the cold. So if anyone would like to jump on at this time and speak their piece, talk about boxing, you can if you'd like. Keep me company on this Friday night. But if you don't, that's cool as well. We're going to go through the tell the tape and give our brief preview of Gervonta Davis versus Ryan Garcia. And guys, this is going to be a tremendous event. And once again, let's go back to this, right? Let's go back to this. Our brother O.T. Spears says, how on earth did Ryan Garcia get this fight? He's done nothing in the sport of boxing. Well, look, in healthier eras of boxing, you could treat it more as a sport where it didn't matter when everyone was tuned into boxing. You could have a title fight and it would be a big time event. Now winning a championship isn't enough. Promoters, networks, all they care about at this time is whether or not you can sell tickets, whether or not you can draw ratings, whether or not you can sell pay-per-views. That's what determines a big-time event. That's exactly what determines a big-time event. At this time, guys, I'd like to welcome my brother, Lenar Thomas, to the stream. Lenar, how are you doing, brother? Happy Friday to you. Can you hear me, sir? No, he's on mute right now. But I tell you what, Lenar, can you hear me, sir? Well, I'll tell you what, brother. As soon as you're ready, just let. Well, I tell you what, we're gonna leave you in the queue. As soon as you can talk, as soon as you get that squared away, and as soon as you get that technical difficulty straightened out. But while we're waiting, we're going to look at the tail of the tape for the well, you can't say challenger here because this really isn't for a major world title. This is at a catchweight, right? So let's look at the B side. And just to let you know that, yes, boxing is a business, and that's what we profess on this show. Just so you can have a greater understanding as to why Wilder versus Ruiz isn't going to happen, right? Just so you can understand why Fury versus Usyk more than likely isn't going to happen. To give you a greater understanding as to why, right? And we're going to touch into that and let you guys know that and remind you, unfortunately, yes, it is a business. Welcome to the show, Lenar. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Joseph?
I'm doing a lot better now that this fight was finally announced, damn it.
Yeah. That's good. That's just letting us know that boxing's starting to go in the right direction. You know.
Yeah, well,
you know what? You know this has been. You know how this has been a battle, Joseph. Like every other big fight. You know, we don't have to mention the other big ones. This is like one of the key players we need to get through. So that's good.
Well, you know, brother, and once again, man, and we don't like doing it, And often when I visit other channels, I'm often viewed as the bearer of bad news. But guys, it's just the business of it. And I'm not trying to rain on anyone's parade. I'm not trying to shit on the sport. It's basically reminding everyone, hey, this is indeed a business first. Okay, just like the NFL, just like the NBA, just like the MLB. And you look at the NFL, and they will often change the rules in the offseason to make it a more fan-friendly product, and they're really good about that. And you look at what we see year after year, there's so much parity, and every game seems to go down to the wire, right? Maybe boxing should take a look at that and adjust maybe some things. Well, to make a better fan-friendly product, right?
Yeah.
But, maybe adjust some things within the business as well. And once again, it's like my brother, Michael Montero, he just announced that he's stepping away from the sport because it's broken and, it's not doing any good. And people are getting away with testing positive. And I'm like, brother, there's a reason why I stopped covering that story about 15, 20 years ago, right? Because it's been my experience that, well, most of the elite are indeed taking PEDs.
Yes. Yeah, I remember you told me that a while ago. You said everybody's taking
Yeah, and so I don't even sweat it any longer. I don't even care. It's like, may the best juice win, guys. And if you notice, it's tempered the product. Very few wars you see. Most of the time, the wars that you're going to see in this sport are going to take place in the lower weight divisions where they just don't crack nearly as hard as everything from 30 and up, right? 35 and up, right? You're going to see all of the wars take place like we just saw last weekend at 122 pounds, right? Between Neri and Ovanesian. Boy, what a great fight that was. Especially when you put two flawed fighters. And guys, that's what you're going to see this Saturday night, right? Between Matias and Ponce, two fighters who are very imperfect, and they have the willingness to sit in the pocket and slug it out. This is a fight, guys. Please tell your friends, tell your neighbors, you don't want to miss this on Showtime, right?
So, Joseph, so we got this fight, right? Well, at least, nothing's official today in the ring, but allegedly we got this fight, right? But I feel like PBC got some other fights they got to announce. You know what I'm saying? Because they really had a really fine lineup late last year, announcing all these fights. So we still got some, I guess we're not getting Andrew Ruiz and Wilder. Yeah, I would have loved to see that one. That would have been a barn burner. I'd love to see Spence and Thurman. But, I'm not sure what's happening with that. What else? And I'm trying to.
Well, look. It looked really good, right? The fights that were being suggested. Look, we're gonna get Joshua Franklin. We're gonna get Ortiz versus Staniones. We're gonna get Joyce versus Zhang. Now, when you talk about PBC, we're still getting Zhu versus Harrison. Okay, that's just in a couple weeks. Yeah. We're getting Canelo versus Ryder. We're getting Haney versus Lomachenko. They just need to determine a venue. We're getting Inoue versus Fulton. We're getting Plant versus Benavidez. And now we're getting Tank versus Ryan. Although I can understand your frustration, we're not getting Wilder Ruiz more than likely. And it's because they want too much damn money. It just isn't there. Spence versus Thurman. I suspect that it's the same issue. Thurman wants too much damn money. And once again, guys, we say this all the time on the show. Hopefully all of you guys know this, right? When you grossly overpay fighters, it makes it virtually impossible to put together the best matchups in the world, right? It becomes virtually impossible. Now, this is what you're seeing with Fury Usyk, right? So we're going to talk about all of that, brother. But we're 15 minutes in, so let's rattle off the tail of the tape for the B side, Ryan Garcia, right? Even though I say B side, from what I've been told, this is a 50-50 split, guys, in proceeds. And that was one of the items that they renegotiated, right? When Goldie was holding that contract hostage, right? But hey, they did it. They crossed the finish line. So now we're going to get it. So here is the tell to tape for Ryan, King Ryan Garcia. He's going to come into the ring at age 24, fighting out of the orthodox stance. He stands 5'10" tall in the center of the ring, fighting behind a lengthy 70-inch reach. Originally from Victorville, California, he now resides in L.A., Los Angeles, California. He's got a perfect record of 23 wins, 0 losses, 0 draws, 19 big wins coming by way of knockout. Lenar, there's a lot to like about Ryan Garcia, brother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what do you think are his, what do you think should his approach be going into this fight against by far the most difficult assignment? Because when you look at his resume, you look at all of his attributes, the guy's he's a physical specimen. He's a big boy. And he's got a lot of weapons in his arsenal. He's got great reflexes. He's got great speed, great power, right? But he just doesn't have that experience. When you look at his resume, other than Luke Campbell, it looks like he's going from the wading pool into the deep end of the ocean.
Yeah. So with Ryan, it's going to be kind of difficult because with Ryan, you take it 2 approaches. You could use your length and your reach, but then you can expect Tank to try to walk you down behind his power. But then at the same time, you could use Ryan's size because he is just a much bigger man than Tank. He could use that to bully Tank. But the problem is, if you do that, you put yourself in firing range. So it's kind of tricky on how I would do it. I don't think, because I haven't really seen Ryan box like that. So I don't think that he could take the boxing approach. I think that he probably needs to use his physical side because he has power too. That's the thing, is both these guys got power, and 1 or 2 shots could be night for either or. So use your physical side.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And look, Lenar, you hit the nail on the head. There are going to be some, very quiet moments in this fight because 1, both men are prolific counterpunchers, and 2, you nailed it, both guys have 1-punch knockout power, right? So there are going to be some moments, and Tank traditionally is a slow starter anyway.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see if Joe Goosen has implemented over this lengthy training period, right? And his 2 fights with Ryan Garcia. It's going to be interesting to see if he implements an intelligent jab to disrupt the timing and rhythm of a prolific counterpuncher like Tank Davis, right? Him being the smaller man, right? He's going to sit back and wait for Tank Davis to actually come and close the distance, looking for that straight right hand, that sharp left hook counter.
What he could do is wait for Tank to overcommit and then catch him.
Well, you know what? That's going to have to be in the later rounds because when has Tank ever overcommitted in the first half of the fight?
Yeah, that's true.
Tank is a very, very, and once again, we'll go and do all of Tank's attributes when we rattle off his tell the tape. But Ryan Garcia, his bread and butter is his left hook. He doesn't usually fight behind a good jab. And against a southpaw, it's going to be really, really difficult to do that. So what he's going to be looking at is every time Tank tries to close the distance and shows him a favorable angle, he's going to try to throw that straight right hand counter left hook behind it, right? That's going to be his bread and butter in this fight. Straight right hand, left hook followed up, right? And he's got to start. And now one thing I don't like about Ryan Garcia is what he'll do. Tank does this extremely well. Tank will just step back and leave himself in position to counter effectively. He'll actually just take a small step back to avoid a shot, and he'll stay in position to counter. Ryan Garcia, if you notice, his footwork is the foundation of his defense. If Tank actually lets his hands go, he's going to go all the way out of position, a lot like Vladimir Klitschko, to avoid getting hit. And he doesn't leave himself in position to counter effectively. That's a problem if you're a counterpuncher by trade. I see this being a really big problem for Ryan Garcia. This is now once again, there are going to be a lot of slow moments in this fight, and I hope most mainstream and casuals understand. But it's up to you.
I think so too.
It's up to all of us to educate these guys, embrace these guys.
I think so.
To understand what's going to happen. So. Look, styles make fights, right?
Yeah.
So be the consummate ambassadors, right?
Yeah, I think with this fight, I think I agree with you. I think both these guys are going to try to figure themselves out in there and see what strategy works in the beginning of the fight. One, because Tank starts slow and is patient, but also he's going in with a size and reach and height disadvantage. So, but then you're going to see, I think you're going to see Ryan at the same time try to catch him with that left hook like he caught his other opponents with. So that's why I think Tank is going to know this because Ryan can crack too. So I think that it's going to be almost like spurts of fencing, try to find the chink in the armor. And I think the fight's really going to kick off, like you said, in the second half. And that's when bombs are going to really been flying.
I agree wholeheartedly. And let me take this time to introduce my brother. He was kind enough to let me on his platform, his channel last night. We were talking about everything but boxing. But tonight, guys, we're going to focus on the fights. It's my pleasure to introduce my brother, EJ Electrojet. How you doing, my friend?
What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm in a great mood. Happy Friday, brother. Happy Friday. And guys, Tank versus Ryan is official. April 22nd. Isn't that wonderful?
It really is. It is wonderful. It's great that they're going to fight each other. I do got to say, though, man.
Don't hold back, brother.
Unless Ryan learns how to duck and swerve and put his head down instead of up where it's served on a platter for everyone to take a piece of. Man, Tank is going to have himself a meal.
That's true.
Well, look. It's you know what? And we can go to our predictions a little bit later on, guys. And
yeah.
But, you know what? But it's going to take him a minute. It's going to take him a minute to actually find that range, find that distance.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, because I think Tank's a little smarter than that. He's not going to go in there thinking he's going to knock out Ryan in the first round.
No, and even though he's a smaller man, he's going to measure. He's going to fight at a measured pace, and he always does. And a lot like Vasyl Lomachenko, a lot like Terrence Crawford, he downloads that data, so to speak, right? So, guys, before we get into the Gervonta Davis pros and cons, let's rattle off the tail of the tape for the A side, Gervonta Tank Davis. He's going to come to the ring at age 28. He fights out of the southpaw stance. He stands 5 foot 5.5 inches in the center of the ring. Ouch. Giving away 4.5 inches to Ryan Garcia. He fights behind a surprisingly lengthy 67.5-inch reach. And he resides and is born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland. He comes into the ring with a perfect record, 28 wins, 0 losses, 26 big wins coming by way of knockout. Oh, boy. Tell you what, Tank Davis, he is a much more cerebral fighter than most give him credit. Deep amateur background. He doesn't just go in there and throw punches. He always fights at a measured pace. Now, let me ask you this, EJ. If he gives away rounds and fights in a measured pace the first half of the fight, is that a bad thing against a guy who has that crack in his shot, who has those beautiful reflexes like Ryan Garcia? Now, he did that successfully against Mario Varrios, but does he have that luxury against Ryan Garcia?
Okay, against Ryan Garcia, he has to listen. One thing I have said about Tank is that Tank is talented. I just wanted to see him tested. This is going to be a good test. I mean, For Davis, this in my opinion, this is going to be the best test he's had in a while at this weight class. Him giving away a couple 2-3 rounds in the beginning, I think it's the smart thing to do. Honestly, I do think it's a smart thing to do. On the other hand, is Ryan Garcia going to be able to take advantage of a Tank Davis being more cerebral, being more clinical in the beginning rounds? Is a Ryan Garcia going to be able to take advantage of that? Because in my opinion, that's going to be the only way Ryan has a chance, because I really do think Tank is going to download that information and he's going to utilize his talents and take advantage of Ryan's shortcomings if he still has those same shortcomings.
Yeah, well, we look at
nothing wrong. I see nothing wrong with Tank giving up the first few rounds. It's smart.
Yeah, you know, we look at, right, and let's look at the betting odds, right now. Right now, Gervonta Davis is a minus 300, right? Right now on most racing sports books. He's a minus 300, while Ryan Garcia is a very live underdog at plus 200. Do you agree with those odds, Lennar?
Yeah, I agree with those odds. And I think with Tank, and this is I like to offer some pushback on what EJ said here. I think that Tank can't afford to give up as many rounds in this fight like he does, like he usually does. Why? Because he's not fighting Hector Louis. He's not Hector
Garcia.
Hector Garcia. He's not fighting that type of caliber. He's not fighting a Rolly Romero.
Well, look. Say what you want about Hector Garcia. Honestly, he doesn't have the kind of weaponry that Ryan naturally has. You can't teach that, right? But boy, he's a much better fighter.
For sure.
Hector Garcia is a very smart fighter. He was doing very well, I thought.
Yeah, he was.
And you look at, and what's impressive about Hector Garcia is he takes these little steps back, a lot like Tank, and will leave himself in position to counter effectively. And hold that thought, Lennar. At this time, I'd like to introduce my brother James from the Boxing Source. James, how's it hanging, my friend?
Yo, what's going on?
Oh, we're just celebrating, brother, because a big fight was just announced on the boxing calendar. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
And it's just what the doctor ordered. When we hear this, Steve Kim in the ring putting out, the sky is falling, boxing is broken. Well, no shit. But we're still seeing great fights. Mention that in your damn article, brother. This Saturday, we're getting Ermias Ponce versus Subriel Matias for the vacant IBF 140-pound title. Write an article about that, brother.
You won't do that. Like, I'm being very straight up. I don't take Steve Kim seriously, and I haven't done so in at least a couple years.
Well, look, I'm going to say this, and there's a reason why he doesn't get bigger assignments in boxing, because everyone within the business understands he is Mr. Negative, and he's kind of an asshole. And yes, I'll say that live. I'll say that on the air. I'll even say that to his face. That most people view him as being kind of an asshole. And so,
Joseph, if I came across him, I would say much more than that to his face.
So, and once again, this show isn't about him, right? Yeah, I tell you what, and look. First of all, let's give a shout out to my brother, W.A.W. Gentlemen, good evening. Happy to catch a War Week Radio live on a Friday night. Thank you, sir. It's very rare, as usually I'm spending it with my lovely Miss Margie Garcia, my honey, but she is in bed sick, so I am here spending Friday with you good people. And I tell you what, it's a nice treat for me. I love talking boxing, and especially when we get a big fight announced, right?
Well, I hope she gets well soon.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that, my friend. And look,
Hope
My
she gets
brother
well.
Joseph Brown, he says, I'll be in attendance tomorrow for Matias versus Ponce. Yes, you're braving the cold weather, man, for that event. Stay warm, brother, and enjoy the fights. And once again, if you see our brother Ronnie, he's going to be he's got a fighter in the prelims. So just let him know that you're Joseph Brown, extended Warwick Radio family member. And yeah, have a good time, dude. Have a good time. It should be a great fight card. The triple header is going to be awesome. We look forward to seeing all of the fighters. Should be 3 really competitive fights on the Showtime triple header. As you were, Lenar. Go ahead, sir.
So I was just gonna say, with Tank offering some pushback, I think with Tank, I don't think he can afford to give up as many rounds. Not saying that Ryan is as dynamic as a Hector Garcia, but like we said, he does have that power that could hurt you. And I think what he has to be very cognizant, because he's not only facing somebody who can crack, but he faces somebody who has a big size advantage and has a reach advantage on him.
Well,
And
you know what? That could actually work against him. And look, Ryan, he's never shown that kind of patience when he fights. Now, maybe that's changed under this extended training camp with Master Joe Goosen, right? He's one of the best trainers in boxing.
That was the last thing I was going to say, is that Ryan.
But you know what? And what I'm saying is, Ryan very well might miss a shot and lean forward and fall out of position, and Tank will be right there to counter effectively. He's gotta be smart when he's facing a cerebral assassin like Tank Davis. He's got to be patient. He's got to be smart. Find that range, find that angle, and not just let his hands go. Right? He cannot do that against someone who will make him pay dearly, like Tank Davis. And you know what? Tank already knows this, that he's fighting a very dangerous fighter in Ryan Garcia. So you already know that and he customarily takes a measured approach.
If I may,
go ahead, EJ. Go ahead, sir. I'm sorry. We'll get back to you, Lenar.
If you take the Garcia to go fight, all right, let's take that for an example. Now we know to go was on the bicycle the whole fight.
But, yeah, he didn't have any resistance coming back at him. Right. Yeah,
but the times that to go did come in and get aggressive, he scored every time.
Yeah, well, because Ryan. Well, look, it's that's a different scenario, right?
I know. My concern
Ryan was just trying to chase this guy down and put on a show for the fans who were booing in San Antonio. I know, I was there.
This is why I brought that up right now. If Ryan gets a little too cocky, right? Because we know that Tank is not going to be on his bicycle. Tank is going to do what he does best. But Ryan, if he tries and he comes in the way he did with To Go, Tank is going to find that opening.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's not a To Go. Tank.
That's what I'm saying. Power. Ryan's has never shown that kind of patience as a world-class fighter, and it could get him in trouble. But if he is patient and forces and uses height to his advantage and forces Tank to take the lead and looks for that straight right hand left hook, right combination, that could be lights out for Tank. But I can't see him being that defensively irresponsible. But look, Sid UK has the beat, right? Sid UK has the beat. He says Tank's height could help against Ryan because it makes it awkward, and Ryan will have to duck down to throw them body shots too. Well, Ryan's never been a prolific body puncher, but Tank is. And that torso is going to be right there. Look, there's a trick that Emmanuel Stewart taught Miguel Cotto. When you're fighting a tall fighter, okay, and when you jab to his forehead, it automatically, and this is what Emmanuel Stewart, in the one fight he had with Miguel Cotto, and they were fighting Yuri Foreman. You remember that back in the day, James? Do you remember that fight?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so what Emmanuel Stewart taught Miguel Cotto was jab to his forehead. That's going to naturally make him crouch down to avoid those shots. And you're bringing him right there in the line of fire. And so, yeah, Coach Calvin's very good. Coach Kenny's very good. They're very smart. And they know this. Tank is very smart. You're going to see him use that jab up, right? to try and bring Ryan Garcia down to his size. And also, Tank is an extremely good body puncher. And he's got that huge target of a torso, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's got to get in range to do that. This is a great fight. But this is a great fight.
And I know that EJ down here said this is the toughest fight in a while. I think overall, when you consider everything, I think Ryan is going to be Tank's toughest fight. I think overall, when I evaluate the two fighters and what they bring, I think this is going to be his toughest fight. I know it's not for belts or anything, but not everything has to be for belts for it really to mean something, right? You know, so you can still tell when somebody's in their prime and fighting. And I was just gonna say real quick that if I was Tank, I would go to Ryan's body to break that tall man down. You know what I'm saying? To break him down, like you said, throw that jab to his forehead, make him duck, and see. But this is the one thing we're not mentioning is even though I think Ryan can crack, I think Tank cracks a little harder, and I think that Tank's chin is a slight bit better than Ryan's. So even in that's something to mention too.
Well, I tell you what, you don't want to test that theory if you're Tank Davis. You don't want to, dude. Ryan, look at his record, look at his fights. Ask Luke Campbell. He can punish you. He can punish you with that left hook. But Tank is smart enough. If he turns this fight into if he fights at angles and turns Ryan into a one-trick pony, just throwing that left hook, it's over, right? It's over. Yeah, it's over. Look, and Outlaw says this. Welcome to the show, Outlaw. Steve Kim knows his boxing. Yes, he does. No one's disputing that. But there's a reason why he doesn't get bigger assignments. Okay? There's a reason why he doesn't get bigger assignments these days. Because he's kind of an asshole. And that's it. Guys, I want to give a shout out to my brother, Bruce, Gas Boxing, Jazz, and More. Salute to you, my friend. Thank you for joining us on this Friday night. And if you guys haven't already, please subscribe to my brother, Bruce. Great boxing historian. We love his channel. Joseph says this. Ryan isn't seasoned enough. And boxing IQ is mature enough for a Tank Davis. His experience will cost him dearly. His inexperience will cost him dearly. James, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. My thing with Ryan Garcia is that his key, I know that you are talking about his height and reach, but it's going to be all about his movement, his foot positioning and things like that. He could use that reach to his advantage, but only if he's efficient, able to construct an offense good enough, but also be able to get away from what Tank has coming back to him. And the thing about it is that you talked about Tank being a very good body puncher. Yep. That is the thing that he basically focuses on in the middle of the fight. What he'll do is he'll get on his guard. It'll pretty much have like a high guard and get pretty low. And then walk in. And then that's when he gets close enough, that's when he does his work. And if you're not, sound enough to get out of the way, to step off to the side or anything like that, he's going to break you down. And that's what I see happening with Ryan Garcia. He's going to end up getting broken down after about 4 or 5 rounds.
Well, we'll see, brother. That's what makes this fight so enticing is because, like him or not, Ryan Garcia, boy, he's an offensive juggernaut when he gets it going. Yeah, now, he's a guy who's willing to take a couple just to get his pound of flesh, but is he willing to do that against a guy like Tank Davis? And is that wise? No, it isn't. Obviously, just ask Leo Santa Cruz. He's still trying to wake up from that lethal uppercut. Oh, my word. See, that's what happens, guys, if you're too liberal with the right hand. Obviously, that's your bread and butter when facing most southpaws. But, boy, Tank will take a step back and he'll throw that just wicked left uppercut, right? He'll make you pay for falling out of position when you miss.
So Joseph, when can we give our predictions?
Hey, man, go for it. We're 40 minutes in, brother. And once again, we'll go. Like EJ, he let me know that he's forced to step away from the computer. He'll be back in a second. So, Lenar, let's hear it, brother. How do you see the fight playing out, and what's your prediction?
I think it's fairly obvious by the way the panel's going who we have. I have Tank. I think that it's going to be a tough fight, though. I don't think it's going to be quite as easy and what people say that Ryan has all this inexperience. I just think that Ryan has a lot of factors going for him that Tank's going to have to watch out for. Because remember, he struggled. I mean, I'm not going to forget this. He struggled. Tank still struggled with Mario Barrios, and Ryan is just as big, hits harder, and is a much better fighter than Mario Barrios. So
I don't know about much better fighter, but he's got much greater offensive tools.
Better. Well, you don't think he's better?
No, I don't. As far as skill set, no. Ryan makes way too many mistakes. Guys, go look at the Javier Fortuna fight. Go look at the Luke Campbell fight. But his offensive arsenal is so much more potent than a guy like Mario Barrios.
So
that's what makes him a scary fighter. If you're most guys looking at the other side of the ring at Ryan Garcia before the bell rings, boy, that's what makes him a very scary fighter. He has that potential. He could be losing the fight, and all of a sudden, boy, he'll punish you with that left hook, and yeah, you'll be on the ground looking up.
So I have Tank by a stoppage late. I do think it's going to be his toughest test, though. I think I have Tank by stoppage. I will say by round 10 or round 11, I feel like he's going to find that chin. Ryan's going to leave. He's going to close his eyes like he always does, leave his chin in the air, and Tank's going to crack him and make him pay for it. So I have Tank by 10th or 11th round KO.
I tell you what, man, I can see that happening as well. But once again, there are no right or wrong answers, predictions until they fight. So I tell you what, you may be proven correct, Lenar. James, your prediction for this fight, my man, April 22nd.
Well, the thing, like you were talking about, Joseph, in reference to Ryan Garcia, like he does have great offensive potential. But this has always been my concern, is that his defensive lapses leave him open to get caught and get caught big.
Yep.
And that is going to, be his downfall against Gervonta Tank Davis. And also with Davis is, we mentioned his previous opponents like Leo Santa Cruz, like Mario Barrios, Hector Luis Garcia to a certain extent. But those guys pretty much had like the dimensions pretty much similar to Ryan Garcia, and that, Tank Davis has been able to fight guys that are taller, longer, have that type of reach. It's just that they didn't necessarily have the speed of Ryan Garcia. But like you were saying with Mario Barrios, Barrios is better defensively sound than Ryan Garcia is. And I think Ryan gets caught out of position a lot, and it's going to end up being his downfall. So I got Tank by TKO, reached by round 8.
Damn.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Trying to be making it to the championship round, huh?
I tell you what, it's going to be interesting. I can't wait for this. I can't wait for this, guys. But yeah, there's going to be some slow moments in the first half of the fight, and I just hope all mainstream and casual audience members and guys in attendance, stars viewing this fight, realize this. Right? This is going to be. It's not going to be a sprint. This is going to be a marathon over 12 rounds, right?
Yeah, it's not going to be like, Jamel Charlo versus Brian Carlos Castaño.
No, it's not, dude. What a great fight, though. Wouldn't that be amazing if it were? See, but no, it's not going to. Tank is so disciplined and so, he's just so defensively responsible. But we'll see, guys. This is a prize fight. Anything can and often does happen in the theater of the unexpected. So we're going to get back to my brother EJ, who's back in the queue. Welcome back, sir. And what is your official prediction for this super fight? And yes, I'm going to call it a super fight, guys. And once again, how do you see this fight playing out, sir?
Well, there's no way that this goes 12 rounds. I'm going to say that right now. This fight is not going 12 rounds. I don't care what anyone says. But I got Tank taking it round 6, body shot, TKO at the very least, round 6.
Damn.
But if it goes past round 6, Ryan can take it by round 9. But these two are not going 12. No way. Both of these guys are headhunters.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these guys are headhunters, and I can see either one of them knocking the other out. But I have to give it more to Tank. Round 6 or 7, body shot. It's gonna hurt.
Wow. Okay. Well, that may or may not happen. We'll have to see on April 22nd. Guys, if both men are who I think they are, and yeah, I'm going to be the very unpopular choice right here. I think it is going to go to his decision. I think both guys are going to make the 12th round because if you look historically, when you pair two elite level talents against each other, very seldom does it result in a knockout. Go back to 140 pounds on the undercard of Mayweather versus Canelo. In the co-main event, Danny Garcia at 140 versus Lucas Matisse. Both guys were looking at their knockouts and saying, there's no way this goes a distance. But yes, it did.
That was a good fight, though. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, that was a great fight, except for all the excessive holding by Danny Garcia. But it worked. It worked. And look, I see both guys being that good, being that elite, right? I see Ryan Garcia making a lot of mistakes, but I think he understands the assignment that's in front of him. And I think Joe Goosen will have him prepared for that.
True.
I think that you're going to see a Ryan Garcia that doesn't take as many risks as he usually does leading up to this point. I think it's going to go to a decision. And because Tank is going to give away so many rounds in the first half of the fight, I think it's going to result in a very anticlimactic draw.
Wow.
Yes, that's what I'm saying this right now.
What the heck? Wait a minute. But Joseph, this is my question to you. Right? I understand that they're two different fighters, but how could you, I'm just wondering, how could you sit here and say that if Ryan is not a better fighter than Mario Barrios, that it can make it the distance? Like, I understand it's because styles make fights, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around it.
Yep, because Joe Goosen is going to have him prepared for everything that he's going to be looking at. And he's going to be shaking in his boots. You're going to see a very uncharacteristic version of Ryan that isn't going to want to take as many risks as he usually does. And it's not going to be the barn burner that we're all expecting, that all mainstream and casual fans are expecting. It's going to be fought at a very measured pace. Both fighters will have their moments, but I think it's going to go the distance. And I think Tank is going to be regretting giving away as many rounds as he is in the first half of the fight. And I think it's going to be declared a draw. Get ready for the next one later this year. That's right.
But Tank's going to prison, isn't he? Or jail or something after this fight, right?
Yeah, well, he's got sentencing in May, but that'll still leave room for a December or November fight. Now, once again, Outlaw says, this is a super event, not a... Now, I'm going to do this in the voice of Steve Kim because this is something that he would say, right? This is a super event, not a super fight. Neither guy has ever beaten a top fighter. Brother, that's not what determines a super fight these days. It's can you put asses in seats? Okay? Can you put asses in seats? That's it.
So do you think that Joe Goosen...
Okay, so let me ask you this. Outlaw. At the StubHub Center, the old StubHub Center, what is it now called? The Dignity Sports Park Arena, right, in Carson, California?
Dignity Health Sports Park, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, Outlaw, would you consider, because it was for Undisputed at 54, would you consider Charlo versus Castaño a super fight? They couldn't even sell out that venue. Okay? So what makes a super fight? Okay?
You have
now one could argue that Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury this Sunday in Saudi Arabia, Diriyah, right? is a super fight compared to most matches we see in boxing today because of the fanfare, because of the money involved, because of the mainstream press. That's what determines a super fight, brother. The fans, the real bosses of boxing, is what determines a super fight, not some fucking trinkets, right? When it's a super fight, you've got WBC trying to make a bullshit title that means nothing, but just trying to get a piece of this event. Oh, yes, we're going, if Jake Paul wins, we're going to give him a ranking in the WBC. You know why they actually made that bullshit title and made that statement? You know why? Because there's a lot of money attached to it and a lot of fanfare surrounding this event. That's why.
Hey, Joseph,
that's what makes a super event and a super fight. Not resume. You could look in boxing and see guys with much better resumes than Tank and Ryan. Does that even matter to promoters and networks at the end of the day? No. Okay? The real bosses of boxing have deemed this a super fight. So have mainstream and casuals, mainstream media outlets. So guess what? It's a super fight. Okay? And there it is. James, what were you saying, brother?
No, did you get the report on like how much money that is reported for Jake Paul and Tommy Fury to get?
Yep, and it's very reasonable considering the size of the event, right? I think one is guaranteed 3.5, the other is guaranteed 2 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's look.
Like
Fighters,
paycheck,
look. All I can say is this, EJ. Listen. All I can say is this: Wilder, Ruiz, take some notes because that's how it's done.
Oh. I
right?
hope you get into that.
Damn.
I hope you get into that topic, Joseph.
Because I would have, man, I really think I would have loved to see a Deontay Wilder Ruiz fight because that's would have been a
look, guys. Look. 2 years ago, I told you guys this. This is going to be a real problem for PBC and Deontay Wilder moving forward. If he comes out of retirement, receiving those inflated purses, keep in mind he made $45 million in his last 2 fights with Tyson Fury. So now he's looking at fighting a former champion, a guy's a very dangerous heavyweight with fast hands, like Andy Ruiz, a guy with a good chin. And he's only getting, what, maybe $1 million? Couple million guaranteed, if that.
Woo.
And he's like, you know what? Screw this, man. I'm not going through another grueling training camp and fighting an animal like Andy Ruiz for drips and drabs. To him, it's drips and drabs after receiving those fat purses from Fox and ESPN.
See, but that's the thing.
That's the problem. And guys, that's why we're not getting Fury versus Usyk either.
Right.
These fighters, and Heyman is like to the point. Heyman is to the point where he's like, you know what? We are not in a position to be coddling fighters any longer. The business isn't the same. Piracy is killing the business. Yep. So if you guys expect those kinds of purses, where do you think the money's going to come from? And I told you that this was going to be a problem when trying to make Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. When you inflate fighters' purses, it makes it virtually impossible to put together the biggest fights that the fans want to see. And that's what we're seeing now, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know my view on this, Joseph. How many times have you heard me say these guys are getting way too much money, and they expect this now, even if they don't have a belt? And like, are you kidding me?
I'm still mad. I'm mad.
And yet, think about
okay. Well, this is a huge misnomer, right? For everyone who hates, loves to hate on PBC and Al Heyman. We're going to blow this shit out of the water right now, right?
Glazier.
Our brother, and once again, they're regurgitating nonsense from a guy who has a hard-on for Al Heyman, right? And he says, Ruiz has gone from PBC Island. Heyman can't afford it anymore. Well, I tell you what, you tell me who can and who's willing
who's
to
willing to
afford
pay
those
for it.
big purses. Okay, you're gonna
and it's
see. No.
Joe.
Mark my words, guys. You're gonna hear Deontay Wilder announce his retirement. If he can't land an Ngannou fight, he's gonna announce his retirement from boxing once again. So you tell me, who's willing to pay for Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder? The big purses that they're looking for. You tell me which network, which promoter's willing to pay for that.
Only one.
If you say if you say DAZN, that's bullshit.
No.
The only money that they've been spending over the last year is on their guaranteed ticket sellers, which is Canelo and Joshua. You look at all of their other events, Golden Boy, Matchroom included. That's why they've been focusing on the lower weight divisions and the women. They're not trying to make history putting together events with women. No, they're doing it because it's cheap labor. It's more cost effective. Brother,
all of that money that they have for their budget that everybody keeps overblowing, that's only like chump change for the Zone and Perform group. That's, that's pretty much, like you said, gone to the ticket sellers, the Canelos and the Joshuas, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is pretty much small scale.
Yep.
But on to the thing that you were talking about with Wilder and Ruiz. You got a situation with two fighters, two former world champions that got purses that were way over their value. You talked about Wilder getting $20 and $25 million for his fights against Tyson Luke Fury, his last couple fights against Tyson Fury. After that, he goes up and he goes to the Barclays Center last October and has a fight at the Barclays there against Robert Helenius. So you're going from quote unquote super fights against Tyson Fury and then coming down to a Robert Helenius. So it's like you're demanding a certain minimum for fighting a guy in Robert Helenius that, of course, mainstream boxing fans won't really have a concern about. And hardcore boxing fans, it's like, hey, it's Robert Helenius. So it only goes to those hardcore Wilder fans to see if, hey, are we going to support Deontay Wilder in order to watch that fight? And, well, just to be honest, they're not really doing that.
Yep.
Okay? Now, with Andy Ruiz Jr., of course, June 1st, 2019, scores an upset against Anthony Joshua in Madison Square Garden. He got a certain minimum for that particular fight, but then it got flipped over to a rematch in Saudi Arabia where all parties involved got big money for that because
huge
provided that money. Now, with him losing, he still got that money, but he still feels like he has a certain value given that he's a former world champion. But he has fights against Chris Arreola and against Luis Ortiz on pay-per-view. And Joseph, I know you know how those particular events went.
Yep. Yep. Hold on, Lennar. Hold on, brother. I want to take this time to introduce my brother to the show. From Sarasota, Florida, Mr. Anthony Manzano. Welcome to the show, sir.
Sarasota, yeah.
Macho man. Yeah.
No. I love it, man. I love James's WWF, classic WWF impressions, man. Yeah. The only one I can do is Andre the Giant. That's the only one I can do.
No, James, I have a question for you, actually. You were just talking about AJ and Deontay. Do you think, honestly, with AJ specifically, do you think it's delusional for Eddie to say that he deserves another big-time title shot after he just lost twice to Usyk to get a title shot against Fury?
At this point, at this current juncture, yes. But the thing about it is, with like Joseph has said, like Joshua is still like a main draw and probably the biggest draw in the heavyweight division. But we'll see about that come April 1st against Jermaine Franklin.
Look. Quality of opposition matters, right?
Yep.
And after 2 losses, this is what he needs. Who cares if it sells out the O2? Who cares how quickly it sells out? Anthony Joshua needs this. He needs to maybe take some time to woodshed and learn, add some new wrinkles to his fight game. Spend some time working with Derek James, right, his new trainer. Yeah. And this is what Ronnie told him last year. This is what he told him. He's like, you know what, man? You shouldn't be jumping into. You shouldn't be jumping into a rematch with Usyk. You need time to prepare for this guy, okay? Because he's obviously the better technician in the ring. And what happened? He didn't listen to Ronnie. He went with another trainer, went with Robert Garcia, and the rest is history. So what he's doing now is taking Ronnie Shields' advice, finally. He's jumping out of his comfort zone, fighting in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, like a training in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, right? And he's taking on someone who can fight. He's a good fighter. I like Jermaine. He's a very good guy. And he's capable of, giving Joshua some problems. But, yeah, this is a very solid litmus test as to where Anthony Joshua is right now. Mm-hmm. Now, does he, hold on, Tony, so does he deserve another big fight? Well, look, as long as he can sell tickets. Now, keep in mind, mix and match. How big is a fight with Tyson Fury at this time? I guarantee you it's a much bigger fight to most mainstream and casuals than a fight with Fury and Usyk.
It is. But I just think that I think Joshua needs to get on a winning streak, because if he fights Usyk, it is say that this Franklin fight wasn't going on, and he would have fight Fury next, nobody would be picking him to win at all. You know what I'm saying? So you can't have 2 straight losses and go into a fight with Tyson Fury. You pretty much view University as the best heavyweight on the planet right now.
See, and Joe, you brought Robert Garcia up, and yep. I warned people multiple times, and it was in this chat that I told you it was a mistake. It was a mistake, and
yep.
People said I didn't know boxing and stuff like that. Like, it was a mistake. Robert Garcia doesn't have a track record with top-level heavyweights, and it backfired on AJ. Look. And what you're saying, Tony, is absolutely accurate, right?
What about Derek James, Tony?
Well, Derek James doesn't have any experience training heavyweights either. But I think he's wise enough to understand that, this could be a potential problem. Because Robert Garcia, from what I was told, well, first of all, he wasn't the chief second. That was Angel Fernandez, right? So, Robert, why would you drop everything to go in the UK, train Anthony Joshua, and be second fiddle to Angel Fernandez, a guy with less experience than you? That was a mess to begin with. That was a mess.
I think that with Anthony Joshua's change over to Derek James, I think he made a great choice. I think
and Lenar.
Hey, guys, hold on. Before you guys continue, I'm going to step away for a second. So as you were, guys, I'm going to take a brief break, a couple minutes, and I'll reconvene. But guys, go ahead. Keep talking. Talk amongst yourselves. Talk about all of this. This is a great topic.
Okay.
Yeah. And Lenar, what I understand what you're saying, that Derek doesn't even he doesn't have experience with the heavyweight division either. But I think Derek realizes that the heavyweight division is the most finicky division in the sport. I think Robert was trying to train a guy like he was trying to train AJ to be fighting like the smaller guys that he was training and stuff like that. So that's another thing that I think backfired too. When you try to train a bigger fighter like AJ to fight like guys in the at 120, 122, 126, and 130 and 135, that's not going to work and stuff like that. That style is not conducive to a
Yeah.
successful heavyweight
Well,
fighter.
I was saying that I think him going with Derrick James, I think that's a good choice. I do think that's a good choice. Stylistically, I think mentality wise, and him getting out of his comfort zone, and then just Derrick James and the way he trains his fighters to get them in that mental state. I think that it was a good choice. I was just saying that Derek doesn't have any heavyweights, but I do think he's a good choice. Look at it looking at it from a boxing observer standpoint. When I
Yeah.
think about what James could bring to an arsenal like Joshua, I think stylistically Joshua, because remember when Joshua was at his best when he was in his seek and destroy mode, right? He was in
Mm-hmm.
his best when he was doing. He tried to do it during the second fight, but he wasn't able to find it consistently, right? So I think that with someone like a Derek James, I think that that's all he trains. I mean, we already know his pedigree and his resume, So I think that was a perfect choice for Joshua.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to say, one last thing is that nobody says this, but like Derek James is 6'2", okay, and Robert Garcia is what I think like 5'6" or something like
Yeah, he's
that.
a former lightweight IBF
Lightweight.
champion.
And a reason why I'm saying that is because sometimes, like I've heard that when you're training a fighter, like for example, he's somebody who's bigger, it's easier to work the mitts. If you're somebody who's 6'5", swinging down, and somebody's 5'6", do you really get those full leverage on your shots like that? I mean, I'm just
No.
being real.
Well, look, here's the most important part, right? Here's the most important part of understanding that there's heavyweight boxing and then there's everywhere else, right? It's a completely different product, a completely different sport almost, right? And a completely different approach in training, preparing, right? First of all, these heavyweights, well, they've got egos and they're a pain in the ass. They're prima donnas, all of them, right? And two, most importantly, you don't train, you don't work these guys as with a rapid pace like you do underweight fighters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lower weight fighters, you don't train them and you don't work them as hard. They're huge men, right?
They don't
You
have great
don't
gas
overwork them. And that was the biggest criticism from Anthony Joshua, that Robert Garcia was trying to work him too hard, throwing too many things at once. Because once again, when you look at Anthony Joshua, and this is coming from my brother Ronnie Shields, he's like, bro, you're lacking fundamentals. There are a lot of things that you should have had, okay, in your arsenal before you started fighting at this level. But I feel bad for Anthony Joshua because he won a title very early in his career, and he was expected then, after winning the IBF title against Princess Charles Martin, he was expected to actually defend that title and fight at that elite level. He was still learning on the job. He started boxing late, as a lot of heavyweights do. Okay, and now he's having to go back to the drawing board and say, what do I need to improve upon to compete against guys like Usyk, guys like Fury, guys like Joyce, guys with a deep amateur pedigree?
And
right?
and Joseph, I think that at Derek James type of style, that's all he teaches is the fundamentals. I think that's perfect.
Well, we'll see. Once again,
Yeah.
It's at a different pace. You have to train heavyweights at a more measured pace. They're big men, need more time to recover. And once again, you can't throw too much at a fighter because then they'll shut down mentally. Right?
You're fighting them in the land of dinosaurs, basically, almost. The
Well,
heavyweights
it's a completely different approach, right? And Ronnie knows this. Like, this is a guy who's trained Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, David Tua. He's teaching Philip Ergovich, right? Like, dude, you could get quality sparring and tutelage in Houston. Why he didn't pull the trigger on that, I'll never know. And once
ego,
again,
you said it best. Ego.
Yeah. Well, he wanted Ronnie to drop everything and to go train him in the UK. And he's like, nope, not going to happen. That was the only reason why Ronnie didn't train Anthony Joshua.
So,
And I can spill the beans now because, yeah, it's already over. But my brother Issy W.A.W says this, and this is on a positive note, guys. Says, I agree, Mr. Aaron. I was ringside last night in Indio. Great event. Scaled down and fiscally responsible. And Scrappy Ramirez put on a great show. Yes, he did. That was a great card by Golden Boy Promotions. And I love the Fantasy Springs Casino. Hopefully you didn't lose too much money there after the fight. Because I've lost my ass there several times.
Joe, I have a question
I've
for
called
you.
fights there with Emmanuel, and yeah, that's a great place in Indio, California. Thank you for always supporting our beloved boxing, my friend. But hold on, Tony. We're going to get to this. We're going to get back to you. Outlaw says this. Can you imagine Ruiz versus Wilder on the DAZN on a Matchroom card? Man, the PBC. Why are you even focused on that? Why do you even care about that, dude?
Hey,
Why do you even care about what fans are going to think? Look, if you're a real boxing fan, you hope that someone picks up that fight. You hope that it does. Look, if you're a real boxing fan, you hope that every platform flourishes. Because let me tell you, boxing cannot afford to lose. The health of the sport cannot afford to lose more TV dates. That's it. And let me tell you, for the amount of money that Ruiz and Wilder are expecting for this grueling matchup, keep in mind, this is heavyweight boxing, guys. Okay? For the amount of money that they're looking for, I'll be very surprised if they reach a deal with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Sports. That's it.
So if and boxing source, what is his name?
I'm sorry, who?
The gentleman who
James had to step away. He's on a phone call right now.
Okay, Joseph, this is an option. Like, when it comes to Matchroom and Golden Boy doing their partnership like they normally do, would it make more sense for a guy like Oscar to buy out Matchroom or Matchroom to buy out Golden Boy? In your honest opinion,
honestly, Golden Boy is all in. He had the opportunity to sell, right? I'm talking about Oscar now. He had the opportunity to sell Golden Boy for a lot of money. He's all in. He's recommitted to the sport because he understands there's a very good possibility that we could see a lot of PBC fighters and a lot of PBC talent in his roster later on this year and in 2024.
Wow.
He's recommitted to this, right? And once again, it's a huge unknown as far as the future of Showtime Championship Boxing on Paramount and CBS. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion from whom, and I'm not going to disclose any names. I'm not going to name drop anybody, but the people that I've been speaking to, this is why there's such a huge emphasis on Tank versus Garcia. This is the last-ditch effort to show CBS Viacom and Paramount that there's a lot of money to be made within the sport of boxing. There are a lot of great mainstream events to be made within the sport of boxing. People want to love boxing. Creed 3 is out in theaters tonight. Right?
Yeah.
Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury is a huge event, and those guys can't fight worth a shit. People want to love boxing. What's not to love? Everyone loves a good fight. But guess what? You can't just snap your fingers and make a box office attraction like Tank Davis. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a process. Showtime has invested a lot of money in cultivating his level of attraction. Okay, so it's in their best interest if this fight makes huge numbers for Showtime, Paramount, and Viacom. Guess what? You're going to see them see that. They're going to see that, and they're going to reinvest in our beloved boxing. This is why this fight is so important, guys. And this is why this fight is being promoted by everyone as a super fight. If you didn't understand the business before that, now you do. So don't be talking about, oh, these guys' resumes. Why does this constitute a super fight? Why is this being like? Now you know. Okay? Now you know. This is all in. Showtime, Paramount, CBS, Viacom. This is all or nothing for them. Right?
Hail Mary.
Yes.
That's it. That's it, guys. So do what you can. Do I think the fight is going to deliver, or do I think the event is going to deliver?
The fight.
The numbers need to be there. Fuck the fight.
I think the numbers are going to be great. I think the promotion of this event is going to be great. I think the fight is going to underperform. I don't think it's nearly as action. It's going to be as action filled. Let's hope that I'm wrong. But I think when you pit two dangerous counterpunchers in front of one another, yeah, you're going to see a lot of slow moments in this fight. I could be wrong, and let's hope I am.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. Like you said, if this Tank and Ryan thing does, because I do think it's going to be successful, but if it does, well, PBC to help save itself again, and it's going to be able to live on for a while.
Yeah, and when you consider now, and when talking to Steven, right, when you consider that he is going to be a part of CBS Sports from this point forward, this has a lot of potential if this fight is successful, right? If this fight actually makes money and shows the brass at CBS, right, that, hey, you can cultivate big money stars, big money attractions by this Showbox Showtime process, right? Okay? That, like, can you imagine seeing prospects? Can you imagine seeing a Showbox product on CBS during the day?
Holy crap.
Can you imagine that? So this has a lot of potential. And let's hope that it does.
I know, and that's the thing, Joseph. You got people who head on PBC and don't want to see the boxing thrive, and this never like they're like Rick Glazers, you know. I mean, even when PBC,
honestly, look. Let me give this disclaimer, right? I love Rick. He's a dear friend of mine, but there's a reason why he hasn't been on this show for a very long time, since December, right? Because all he wants to do is just trash Al Heyman and PBC. And I'm not going to have any part of that. Look, just like I'm not going to trash DAZN or Eddie Hearn, even though the price hike in the U.S. is very telling, I'm still going to encourage everyone to subscribe to DAZN. Okay? Exactly. Support Golden Boy Promotions. Support Matchroom Sport overseas. They have a great product. We're seeing great fights at all levels, guys.
So
okay, boxing for the health of the sport. Support every platform.
So this is an honest question. Let's say this fight is successful and over exceeds the expectations we're setting on it. Let's say it overperforms when it comes to the numbers and the actual live gate at the event at the venue. Do you think Oscar then goes time and Steven Espinosa to see if he have a contract?
Going in and out.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Go ahead, sir. Continue.
What I was saying is, if this fight over exceeds expectations, and let's say Oscar goes to Steven Espinosa and Viacom, and do you think they try to sign a contract, like cutting the middleman out with Matchroom specifically? And Oscar
look, Tony, if they're smart. And once again, Steven has been learning on the job as well. Keep in mind, when he was Oscar's counsel, in-house counsel, right? That's where he got his start in this business.
I didn't know
He was Golden Boy's in-house counsel. He got the assignment in 2018, right? To be the president of Showtime Sports, right? And a lot of times most of the times these networks will hire attorneys to be the president of their sports programming because they want to be in charge of contracts, and they have to understand the verbiage, and most of the time they like lawyers to have that role to protect the network. right? And so that's why Steven Espinosa got but he's still been learning on the job. Okay. He understands now that, guess what? Being in bed with a promoter exclusively isn't a good thing. He knows this. He's a very smart guy. And so guaranteed, if CBS does want to continue Showtime Championship Boxing, you bet your ass that Steven Espinosa is going to be willing to work with every promoter involved. And that's what he should do. That's what the brass at DAZN should do also. Don't get in bed with just one or two promoters. Be in the business of signing fights, not promotional entities or fighters exclusively, because it doesn't work.
So Joseph, do you think, I think this fight is big, but I think that in knowing this, I think that the trash talking is going to make it bigger. And I think this fight needs the trash talk and the viral moments for it to even shine more in the sun, right?
I'm sorry, repeat that one more time, please, sir. My apologies.
Yeah. I was saying that a fight like this needs the every bit of trash talk it can get, right? So
yeah, look, you're gonna see them put on a first class promotion of this event. You're gonna see that
like a Mayweather-esque performance.
No, I don't know if it's in the budget to do that, right? But you're gonna see it. You're gonna see. You're gonna see. Hopefully, they have it within the budget to put together a multi-city tour, because it has that much potential, right? It has that much potential. And once again, this is it. This is it for Showtime.
Is this a Hail Mary, Joseph? This is his last ditch.
Well, it's a lot more than a Hail Mary. It's not as dramatic or as drastic as a Hail Mary, but yes, this is the big one. Why do you think Steven Espinosa and Al Heyman tried so desperately for months to make Crawford Spence when it was a lost cause? And I told you this, Lenar. I told you this way back when that was going to be an issue, right? Why do you think they tried so hard to make that fight? Because they need the big events that have the potential of capturing the imagination of a mainstream and casual audience, right? Because unfortunately, those are the only ones who are purchasing this shit. Most diehard fans, and once again, I'm not pointing any fingers, right? Because there are a lot of great fans that still purchase these things, but you guys are in the minority, right? Most diehard fans are streaming this shit illegally. And why? Because they've been long-suffering fight fans who have been expected to pay for every major event leading up to this point. You can't fault them, right? But I will say this, Outlaw, you finally said something positive. He says, DAZN on some BS with the price hike, but I love my boxing, and I'm going to keep it. Bravo, brother. And I hope you do. I hope you do. I am. I'm keeping my DAZN subscription because look at what we just saw on Thursday. That was a great little card. And we're going to see great events on both sides of the pond throughout the entire year. And please keep your subscription. Yes, sir.
Can we get your guys' predictions on how much you think the fight is going to do pay-per-view wise, real quick?
Well, look. And here's oh my gosh, guys. And this goes to our final problem, right? Biggest problem concerning the business of boxing, and that's piracy. When you look at the promotion, right, in a first-class promotion, like Fury versus Wilder, that was a big-time, multi-million-dollar promotion, right? And it turned it into a major event. That was a huge event with both networks involved. So when you look at the final pay-per-view numbers domestically, 825,000 for Fury Wilder 2, 825,000 only domestically. Do you know, according to Museo, right, the music tracking service, do you know how many people illegally stream that worldwide? Over 15 million.
Okay.
Wow.
Guys, make no mistake about this. Piracy is the biggest problem concerning the business at this time. It affects everything. Why do you think Showtime can't afford Wilder versus Wilder versus Ruiz at this time. Make no mistake, that's not PBC or Heyman, because no promoter guarantees the purses of these major fights. It's always the network or the site fee. That's it. The network pays the licensing fee that covers the main event. So if you think it's a promoter that spends his own money, okay, then you don't understand the business of it, right? So if you think it's a PBC and Al Heyman, they're out of money, give me one major promoter that spends his own money to guarantee these big purses. None of them do. Not Eddie, not Goldie, and definitely not Bob. That's all network money, guys.
So do you think this can cross over the million man march, so to speak, Joseph, this fight?
Because of the popularity already of Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia from a mainstream and casual level, I think this will prove to be. And because when you understand that Showtime, Paramount, CBS, right? When you look at the bundle, how many subscribers they actually have in the US, right? Let's look this up right now. This is very interesting, guys. And I want to give you factual evidence of this, right? I'm going to look up subs in the US for Showtime, Paramount, right? Because that's where the fight's going to be offered, right?
Yeah.
Showtime currently has 27 million subscribers, right? 27 million compared to DAZN that has less than 1 million right now. How many Paramount subscribers, right?
How much?
Hold on just 1 second. I'm still looking. They have 56 million subscribers in the US, right?
Oh, wait a minute, Joseph. Does that mean because, you know what?
Well, it's included in a bundle right now.
That's what I'm saying.
So when you look at...
Is Paramount promoting this now too? Is this like official?
It's going to be promoted on CBS, Paramount, and Showtime, right? So when you look at the bundle, when you look at people subscribed in the US, right, to the Paramount Showtime bundle, that's 32.8 million, right?
Okay.
That's 32.8 million. So this is going to receive a big time first class promotion. And when you consider the outreach already that Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis both have to a larger mainstream and casual audience than most boxers, right? Everyone except Canelo, you could say, in North America. Yes, I can see this easily eclipsing 1 million. It's all going to be contingent though on how this event is promoted, right?
But I think.
Hold on, Leonard. But let's get the opinion of my brother. He's finally back. Let's welcome back James from the Boxing Source. James, welcome back, sir.
Yeah,
what are your thoughts, and how well does this do on pay-per-view?
I thought we kind of talked about it or hinted at this before, but what you just said in your last statement is something that has been brought up a few times as far as like it being potentially reaching 1 million pay-per-view buys. Thing about it is with Canelo Alvarez, his most successful event was against Caleb Plant in the platform that it was in.
Yep.
Which was under Showtime, right? So they had that capability, and like you said, with the amount of reach that both Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia has, you're going to see that particular element, because when you talked about Canelo in his previous fights when he was collecting the belts for, in the super middleweight division, going up against Callum Smith, going up against Billy Joe Saunders, like that was in the platform that didn't have the reach in America that Showtime has. And this does. So you got that same element with Ryan Garcia that was fighting on the zone, that had a certain amount of popularity on the zone, but didn't have the reach that Showtime has. And then you combine that with Gervonta Tank Davis, and this has the elements of a fight like how it was years back with Oscar De La Hoya and Floyd Mayweather.
Yep.
Two stars at that particular time that were able to fight each other. You had those same elements here right now in this day and age. And yes, I feel like it's going to reach 1 million pay-per-view buys.
You don't think it goes over though?
Well, he's saying it eclipses the 1 million mark. How much so, that remains to be seen. But I agree. I think it's going to do very healthy numbers. I think a lot of people are going to be dialed in. Now, keep in mind, before Fury Wilder 2, neither guy was a big ticket seller in the domestic USA. Right? Neither guy was a huge ratings draw. Okay, that promotion would really put them on another level. That's why I'm saying it's all contingent on how this is promoted. But when you look at the fact that Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis are already mainstream attractions, guys, this has the potential of reaching a huge boxing audience for the first time in a since Canelo Golovkin?
Well, boxing, yes, but sporting also. Like you were saying, I mean, this is under, CBS, Showtime, Paramount. So they can use any of those elements around that CBS thing to do that. And they're going to have that opportunity during the NCAA tournament.
And plus the zone.
No. You know what? The zone, as much as I love the zone programming in the U.S., it's been a colossal failure. Why do you think they switched to pay-per-view? Why do you think they've raised the price? Because they're doing great? No. Because they want it to be cost-effective. They want to at least break even.
Yep.
No, I'm not talking about it in the American market. What I'm talking about is I'm talking about Sky and stuff like in England.
No, dude. Look, this is an American fight. This is an American fight.
You don't think
No, it doesn't even make a dent internationally. This isn't Pacquiao Mayweather. Okay? This isn't Pacquiao Mayweather, right? This is a U.S. fight.
It's not even Fury Wilder on the international scale.
No, this isn't an international fight. Location is everything, right?
Okay.
There's a reason why Canelo isn't fighting in the UK like Eddie Hearn wanted. Okay? Because it would be a catastrophe in terms of pay-per-view sales if this were during the day. Like, you're really slashing the throats, man, of that pay-per-view. Okay. If you're putting it on during the day in the UK, right? So at least in Mexico, in Jalisco, it's going to be in the central time zone. So you get to stage this at a reasonable time. That's the only reason why you're getting this fight in Mexico. Eddie Hearn wanted this in the UK.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, and James, I asked Joseph this question. When it comes to the business side of the sport, like this confuses me sometimes. Do the promoters sometimes overinflate the amount of buys the pay-per-view actually gets, or is that the actual amount usually that they announce after the fight happens, like 5 months after the fight happens? Is that overinflate? Do they overinflate the buys, or because there's taxes involved they can't do that and stuff like that?
Well, let's take BLK Prime. What was the press release that they stated, right? What were the numbers that they just released?
I think it was
versus Avanesian.
I think it was 150.
And do you believe that?
Maybe.
Oh, come on, dude. Come on, dude. Look, if you believe that, I've got some nice oceanfront property to sell you in San Antonio.
Okay, I don't believe it then. I don't believe it.
It's a crock of shit, dude. Honestly, I'll be very shocked if that did domestically over 25,000 purchases.
So that's why I'm wondering. So you guys actually think when these promoters announce these numbers, these pay-per-view buys, it's overly inflated to make them look good, but it's not the actual accurate numbers normally.
Look, in boxing, just like any entertainment field, music, motion pictures, perception is everything, right? Perception is everything. Perception in the entertainment field, unlike real life, perception often becomes reality. Think about what we just talked about with Fury Wilder 2, that promotion. Neither guy was a big ticket seller in the US. The promotion inflated that fight to reach much greater results. Think about how well or how poorly the first fight did on Showtime. And this is before piracy was as huge of a problem, right? How well did it do, James? Fury Wilder 1. How well did that do?
I mean, not that well, in comparison to the other two, of course. But
so why did the second one do well? Why did the second one do better? Why did the second one do dramatically better numbers?
Because the fighters were more well known?
No, dude. Well, that was a result of the promotion, yeah. But not when that fight was announced, no one was like, well, wait a minute, why are they treating this like it's a super event? Because neither guy's a huge ticket seller, and guess what? It blew up that way. They put on this perception that it was this great mainstream event, both networks getting involved, they're having spots on the Super Bowl, having spots in bowl games.
Yeah, spots in the Super Bowl. You had scheduled appearances for the college football semifinal games that Tyson Fury was able to make.
WWE also. Pro Wrestling advertised the fight as well because Tyson had a contract signed with WWE at the time of that fight. Correct, Joe?
Well, yeah, that had nothing to do with the promotion of the event. In fact, I didn't see very much promotion for that. But here, check this out. Outlaw says, I hope Canelo's fight is not on pay-per-view. Well, it is, dude.
Yeah.
Or at least a reasonable cost since they're jacking up. Dude, they're jacking up the prices, and then you're still going to have to pay to see Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah, you're still going to have to.
Right? So once again, guys, boxing, if you look at the landscape of the health of the sport, it's not doing well. And once again, if you've been listening to this channel for the past 2 years, we've been telling you that this was on the horizon. And it doesn't give me any pleasure in stating that. But we know the business because we're in the business, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, not me. You two are, but I am not.
I tell you what, James, our last 15, 20 minutes, right, of this program, let's talk about this outstanding event in Minneapolis. Look, I know they love this venue, the Armory in Minneapolis, Minnesota, but why the hell would you stage an event like this in February in the Armory in Minneapolis? Why would you do that?
Because they didn't want to pay that much money overall for that type of a card. That's pretty much what I get from the Armory is that it's not really like a venue type of a thing. It's like how they do the whole casino thing in Las Vegas,
Yep.
So this is kind of like that. That's the type of venue they have. It's like a party or like event center type thing where you could have like stuff going on, and then it's like, oh, all of a sudden there's like a fight card in the thing. So that's how they've been able to work out having a good number of fights over there. Outside of when Jamal James had been fighting there multiple times, and that's how you have our guy Morrell having those fights there. Time after time after time. So it's something where they could, have a couple of events, you get a pretty good turnout, not very large of a crowd, but you get a pretty good turnout, and you don't really have to worry about cost that much.
Yep.
So,
Well, guys, look. Before we move forward, guys, I need 5 more subscribers to reach 1,000. Please get me there. And also, guys, hit the like button if you're listening. Please hit the like button.
knock out
Right?
the like button, please, guys. Knock out the like button.
Thank you so much. It doesn't cost you anything to do that. And please subscribe if you haven't already.
So
right?
Joseph and James, this is a question I've been wanting to ask, but I can't ask because no one understands the business of boxing. Let's say this Ryan and Tank fight overperforms and maybe goes up to 1.3 million buys, which I don't think happens. Do you think W.A.W and maybe HBO is looking at the performance of this fight and see if they would come back into the sport again?
I can tell you this honestly, right? From what I've been told, HBO has no interest in getting back into the sport of boxing. Right? They're more interested at this time salvaging the DC universe, cinematic universe.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They're trying to figure out who's going to be the next Superman. They're not even thinking about boxing right now, brother.
Yeah,
so just put that aside.
No. Yeah,
no interest
in the future. In the future.
No,
in the future.
No interest at all.
Not in this future. Not in anyone else's future. Not if the future even like turn into the Jetsons with the flying cars. And this
is what I don't understand about certain boxing fans that almost seem to be hoping that Showtime tanks and gives up boxing. CBS, Paramount. It's like, why do you want to see another platform of boxing fail? That's not good for the entire sport.
Why would they want anything on a major network or a premium cable network, fail? That's what happened with HBO.
Because I'll tell you why. Because one, they're ignorant tools who don't know shit about the business, and they don't. It's almost like they're clowns. They're fucking clowns. So, guys, if you hear a channel or platform that pits one platform against another, one promoter over another, turn and run away. It's espousing ignorance and putting poison in your ears. Okay?
Yeah, no, that's why I asked the question, because I'm not sure if that would ever happen. Thank you for clearing that up for me, Joseph and Mark, James, because I like I said, I watch boxing on and off. I'm a casual in the sense that I don't watch the sport all the time, but it sounds like I'm not a casual because my father and his brothers, my uncles, were big boxing fans when they were younger. So I grew up listening to all those fights and stuff like that. So all the big fights when they were kids and stuff like that. So I understand that side, the entertainment side, but I don't understand the business side. Thank you for clearing all that up for me.
Well, look, and Outlaw has the beat right here. He says the DeCubas family, Louis DeCubas, senior and junior. They have a good spot in the armory, and they know someone that runs it. Yeah, so they're making good money. That's the reason why they're there, right? Is because of the DeCubas family. You're right on the money there. That's right. And he says this: I think boxing fans don't want Showtime to fail. They're just tired of Al Heyman BS. What BS, brother? I understand that he made some foolish decisions in the past, but look at the product that you've been getting over the last 2 years since Al Heyman has been listening to Tom Brown. Look at the fights that you're getting, brother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, think about what has happened while that kind of product has been.
So what Al Heyman BS are you referring to? Are you referring to the mistakes that he made when it was PBC on for free TV on CBS, Fox, NBC? Are you referring to that 7 years ago? Okay, that's long gone, dude. That Waddell Reed money, those time buys, that's long gone. That was a huge mistake. Guess what? We've moved on. Al Heyman has learned from this. Steven Espinosa has learned from this. So what are you guys regurgitating? Get over that shit. Get over that shit. That's all I'm gonna say.
Like
this is getting really irritating because a lot of channels regurgitate this same nonsense.
They regurgitate that stuff, but when fights fall apart in other networks or with other promotional companies, it's not put on blast to the level that anything happens when it comes to Showtime Sports or anything under the Heyman Boxing banner. And that just is absolutely funny to me.
Outlaw says he has Tom Brown there just for a paycheck. He doesn't listen.
Oh,
to him.
good Lord, dude! Look at the product for the last 2 years and look at it before that. And you tell me if you're being completely honest with yourself, it's the best product that we've been getting in boxing. Okay, if you're completely honest with yourself, who's been doing a better job in the U.S. market? Eddie Hearn? Fuck no. Golden Boy Promotions? Fuck no. They don't have the talent. They're putting on great fights, but look at the matchups. Okay? If you can be completely honest with yourself, look at last year, 2022. What were your fights of the year in the domestic U.S.? Okay, you can make a very strong case for Lubin Fundora, which is PBC.
Yep.
And you can make a very strong case for Charlo versus Castaño, too, which is PBC. So what the hell are you talking about? What the hell? Dude, and if you don't think Al Heyman is listening to a very smart man, a genuine boxing guy like Tom Brown, then you're high on crack. Okay, so let's go to something positive. My brother Issy Bitavo says, Mr. Heron, last night I had my whole family subscribe Sunday at my aunt's birthday dinner party. I'll make everyone subscribe. That should do it. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. So hold on. Here it comes. It's true. Boxing fans are talking about Al Heyman never making the big fights on time. Who the fuck does? You're talking about big fights. How did they become big? Okay? How did they become big? While they're prospects?
Okay.
Dude, this is a lot of nonsense. And once again, I love this because it gives us the opportunity of shoot all of this bullshit down.
It's hilarious because...
Okay, so what big fights?
In boxing have been put together under the advisement of Al Heyman over the past 5, 6, 7 years. So
he says, calm down, Joe. Your blood pressure is going to go up. Yes, you're right. I am old. I'm middle-aged. I'm past middle age, actually. But I tell you what, let me just take a breather and let me give you guys a shot of Sweet Amber so I can calm down. And once again, what I can't stand, though, is regurgitated ignorance. And if you listen to other channels who don't know feces about the business, that's what you're getting. So once again, I'm going to tell you guys, this is a red flag. If you hear a channel pitting one platform, one network over another, turn and run. He's going to be filling your head and filling your ears with a bunch of poison nonsense. That's it. And there are a ton of them out there. Subscribe to my brother James from the Boxing Source. He doesn't play favorites. He reports on everything. He is a credit to the boxing business. Okay? So Outlaw, do yourself a favor. Go subscribe to my brother James. Subscribe to War Week Radio. Okay? So you can stop regurgitating this fucking nonsense. Right?
Like, it's one thing to be a fan of a sport. It's another thing to be a fan of a fighter or a promotional company. We just, are there to cover the fights. If you, and Joseph, you said this multiple times over. If people want to see like the fights that they are saying that could be like cross promotional or anything like that, then they are going to have to support both, like say for example, both fighters or both promotional companies, if it's a cross promotional fight, the way that it happens is they have to feel that it makes enough money for all parties to be satisfied with that final product once it finally happens.
That's it. That's exactly right. And once again, you're not going to get this stuff anywhere else. Go subscribe to James from the Boxing Source. Subscribe to War Week Radio, right? And Hyphy has the beat. And welcome to the show, sir. He says, if you look past the premium pay-per-view pricing, PBC puts on the best cards top to bottom. In the domestic U.S., yes. I thought fans were supposed to be fans of and focused on fights. Nothing else. Damn straight.
Yeah.
Right? And when a fighter prices himself out, right? And once again, it's very difficult to fault the fighters because this is the fault of the networks and the promoters for paying these guys inflated purses. Right?
Yeah.
So when you look at a guy like Tyson Fury, who made $55 million in his 2 fights with Deontay Wilder, made $25 million against Dillian White.
Yep.
How much do you think he's going to expect in a fight against Usyk? So I'm not just throwing stones at other promoters. I'm actually calling a spade a spade.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about what the ticket prices were for Fury versus White, but I'd be pretty sure that it would be even more money if Fury versus Usyk was in that same venue. I think it was Tottenham Hotspur Stadium there in Tottenham.
Mm-hmm.
But
talking about Derek Chisora?
Oh yeah. Oh well, yeah. That one was that
was at Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, that one was at Tottenham. Yeah, I think the White was at another venue.
Oh, Dillian White was 90,000 strong at Wembley Stadium.
Wembley Stadium, yeah.
So Tyson has a point, and I can understand him taking this position, right, with Alexander Usyk, who's not a big ticket seller in any market, right? But he's a great fighter. Mm-hmm. You can't take that away from him. He's on everyone's pound for pound list. Right, yeah. He's a great fighter, but what determines your market value? What determines a fighter's market value? Ticket sales, ratings, pay-per-view sales. That's what determines. Look at Guillermo Rigondeaux, who just fought. Again, he used to be and was at the top of everyone's pound for pound list for a long time. Okay, so why did Top Rank let him go? Because he couldn't sell tickets. No. HBO didn't want him. Right? That's who's paying the bills, guys. And if you're not drawing ratings, not selling tickets, no promoter or network has enough room for you. They will let you go. Okay? So it doesn't matter how many titles you have. Doesn't matter how proficient, how good you are. If you can't sell tickets, if you can't draw ratings, if you can't sell pay-per-views, okay, good luck. Best of luck. That's the reality, guys, of the business.
You can be undefeated like Demetrius Andrade. You could be a 2-division champion like Demetrius Andrade.
Yep.
But if you're not bringing butts in the seats and you're not getting views on the TV, nah.
Perfect example. Okay, Demetrius, I love Demetrius. I love his dad. They're great guys.
Yeah.
They're great people, and I've been friends with them for a very long time. Right?
Yep.
So Outlaw has the beat, right? He says, Rigo's not the most exciting fighter, neither. Well, most Cuban fighters aren't, right? And why? Because they're counterpunchers by trade, and they're not going to veer from the script. Like, look at Nonito Donaire versus Guillermo Rigondeaux, a decade ago, right?
Ooh, boy.
Okay? So Guillermo Rigondeaux, he's like, you know what? I'm not going to take the lead, brother. You're going to have to be the fighter who initiates the action. There were so many, like look at the fight that pretty much severed their relationship with HBO, right? Look at Rigondeaux versus Joseph Egbeko. Go back and watch that fight on YouTube.
That was on HBO. Oh my God.
Go back and watch that fight, guys. Everyone was walking out during the fight. And why? Because Joseph Egbeko understood that Guillermo Rigondeaux, if he let his hands go, was going to have something waiting for him. And Guillermo Rigondeaux was just happy to stink out the joint and not throw any punches. So guess what? It doesn't matter how good you are. If the fans, the real bosses of boxing, the fans, if they don't like you, no network or promoter has any use for you. That's it. This is a business, and it's the entertainment business. And if you're not entertaining the paying customer, good luck.
Yep.
That's it. And look, Issy has the beat. Mr. Herron, I've already been to 3 different boxing events and 3 different promotions. Who cares about the network, etc.? I'm a boxing enthusiast. Makes me no different. Just lace them up and let's go. Bravo, brother. Very well said. You, sir, are a real fan of boxing. You're not a fan of a specific fighter. You're not a fan of a specific platform. You're not a fan of a specific promoter. You love the sport, as do we. As do we, brother. That's why we love you on this show. James, do you have any parting shots for our listening audience, sir?
Just to enjoy the fights coming up this weekend, particularly the fight card that will be in Minnesota. The main event, vacant IBF Super Lightweight Championship fight there with and that's going to be a very good one. You'll have the return of Jamal James as the co-feature bout, so definitely looking forward to that. And I guess that's pretty much it for now. Man.
Well, I will say this, guys. I'm going to leave you guys with this, and thank you, James, for being on this show, brother. You're a credit to the boxing business. You are unbiasedly reporting, right? You're unbiasedly reporting, and I love that about you, my friend. I will say this, though, guys, okay? Boxing needs all of you. Don't spend your time on YouTube watching the fights with like-minded fans, okay? This is your job. You are the best ambassadors. You're the real bosses of boxing. Go out and make a difference if you love your beloved boxing, okay? Tell your neighbors. Tell your friends. Flex your boxing IQ. Show them how much you know. Talk them through it. Teach them what they need to look for in a fight. You guys already know all of this stuff. Tell your neighbors. Tell your friends. Tell the guy next in line to you, okay, at the grocery store. Tell them about this fight coming up tomorrow night, okay, because it's going to be a barn burner. This is going to be a fight of the year candidate on Showtime, okay? Everyone has Showtime still. Okay? Tell them about it. Do your part because boxing needs each and every one of you. Okay? That's what I'm going to leave you with. Guys, on behalf of my brother James, and thank you once again so much for gracing the airwaves and letting us share the air with you, my friend. And guys, once again, go subscribe to the Boxing Source if you already haven't. Guys, on behalf of James from the Boxing Source, I'm Joseph Herron. You've been listening to Warwick Radio. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. You wanna go where people know people are all the same. You wanna go where everybody knows your name.
Radio chats with boxing scribe Joseph Heron.